Let's move on to making and attaching the decorations. Consisting of clouds, stars, both 5-pointed and 4-pointed. We'll work on them separately, then assemble them all at once. Starting with the cloud. We'll break it down into 2 sections. We'll begin with an adjustable magic ring, crocheting back and forth in a counterclockwise direction for the first part. Once that's done, we'll continue crocheting in rounds for the second part. In addition to the techniques we've used before, we'll also be using the DC 2-in-1, the DC 3-in-1, and half double crochet. Let me demonstrate. First, we'll start with the magic ring. Pick up the yarn with your right hand. Wrap it around your left index finger twice. So now you have 3 strands of yarn on your finger. Using your right thumb and index finger, pinch where the loops overlap. Remove the yarn from your finger. Now, drape the yarn properly around your left hand. Move the loops between your left middle finger and thumb. Pick up your crochet hook with your right hand. Insert the hook into the ring. Make 1 chain to secure. The adjustable magic ring is complete. Begin crocheting the first row. Start by making a chain of 3. These 3 chains will act as 1 double crochet. Next, work into the ring. Make 6 double crochets. Including the turning chain. That's 7 stitches total. Lastly, secure the ring. Gently pull on the starting tail of the yarn. You'll notice a loop moving. Tighten the moving loop. There's only 1 loop left now. Carefully pull tight the starting tail. And there you have it, the ring is secured. The first row is now complete. Let's move on to the second row. Start with a chain of 3. Remember, the turning chain counts as 1 double crochet. I won't repeat that for each row from now on. Turn the fabric counterclockwise. Pick up the corresponding stitch of the turning chain. That's the last stitch from the previous row. Work into that stitch. When working on the wrong side, the stitches will be to the top left. Make 1 double crochet here. Including the turning chain. These counts as 2. This is a specific technique for double crochet increase, DC 2-in-1 for short. Continue with regular DC 2-in-1. Work into the adjacent stitch. In one position, make 2 double crochets. That completes the DC 2-in-1. Pick up stitches separately. Work a DC 2-in-1 in each stitch, so you'll make 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. When you reach the turning chain, pick up the 3rd chain from the edge, using both strands. Then insert your hook and crochet. Check your work when you're done. There should be 7 2-in-1 in this row. And that completes the second row. Now, move on to the third row. Start with a chain of 3 for the turning chain. Turn the work over. Then pick up the stitch directly below, which corresponds to the turning chain. Make 1 double crochet. This is also a special DC 2-in-1. In the next stitch, work a regular double crochet. For the following stitches, make 1 DC 2-in-1. Followed by 1 double crochet. Let's examine the pattern in this row. 1 DC 2-in-1. 1 double crochet. Repeat this sequence. This increasing technique is called 1 regular, 1 increase. Continue following this pattern. Keep crocheting. When you encounter the turning chain, insert your hook into the third chain from the hook, catching both strands. Here, according to the pattern, you'll make 1 double crochet. And that completes the third row. Crochet the fourth row. Start with a special DC 2-in-1. Remember to turn your work after completing the turning chain. Once done, work 2 double crochets to the left, 1 for 1. The pattern for this row is 1 DC 2-in-1, followed by 2 even double crochets. Repeat this sequence. This method is known as 2 regulars, 1 increase. Keep going according to this rule. Finish crocheting this row. When you encounter the turning chain, work into the third chain from the hook, using both strands. And that completes the fourth row. Move on to the fifth row. Start with another special DC 2-in-1. Then, make 3 even double crochets. The pattern for this row is 3 regulars, 1 increase. Continue following this rule for the rest of the row. After the last stitch, row 5 is now complete. Proceed to the 6th row. Begin by making a turning chain. After that, turn your work. Pick up the stitch to the left. Be sure not to grab the stitch directly below the turning chain. It's the stitch directly to the left of the turning chain. Follow the pattern of 4 regulars, 1 increase. Start with 1 DC 2 and 1. Then, continue with even double crochets. Continue working according to the pattern. Once you've completed the last stitch, row 6 is finished. Move on to rows 7 through 11. Within these rows, some will require increases following the pattern. Others will be worked evenly without increases. Refer to the pattern instruction for specific increase placement and instructions. Always turn your work after completing the turning chain at the start. In addition, unless instructed otherwise for a special DC 2 in 1, after the turning chain, pick up the stitch to the left. Avoid picking up the stitch directly under the turning chain, otherwise, you'll create an extra stitch. After finishing each row, check your stitch count. Count the double crochets. Each stitch represents 1 double crochet. Remember, the turning chain counts as a stitch. When counting rows, follow the texture. Follow the pattern of 1 right side row, then 1 wrong side row. The techniques and methods have all been demonstrated previously. From here on, refer to the pattern instruction to complete these rows. Once completed, proceed to work row 12. Start by making 1 chain. This is a turning chain for single crochet. It doesn't count as a stitch. Then, turn the work. Pick up the corresponding stitch below. Make 1 single crochet. Next to it, work 1 half double crochet. Yarn over. Insert the hook into the stitch. Draw the yarn through. Now, you have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, and draw through all 3 loops this time. Complete the half double crochet, then, work 4 double crochets evenly across. Make 2 DC 2 in 1. Followed by 2 regular double crochets. After that, make 1 half double crochet, yarn over once more, insert the hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again. Now, draw through all 3 loops on the hook. Complete the half double crochet, then, work another half double crochet in the same stitch. After that, make 2 single crochets evenly across. Slip stitch in the next stitch. Don't tighten the yarn too much. Unless specified otherwise, proceed with the pattern as written. Leave the slip stitches loose. Continue with 4 single crochets. Four half double crochets. Eight double crochets in a row. In the next stitch, make a DC 3 in 1. So, you'll have 3 double crochets in the same stitch. 1, 2, 3. You've completed a DC 3 in 1. Continue crocheting symmetrically to the pattern. On the right side of the DC 3 in 1, I won't go into details here, you can refer to the pattern instruction for specifics. Lastly, work a single crochet on the top of the turning chain. And that completes row 12. Move on to the row 13. Start with a chain. Turn your work. Then make 1 single crochet. Work 1/2 double crochets. 4 double crochets. 1 DC 2 in 1. 2 double crochets. 1 DC 2 in 1. 2 half double crochets. 2 single crochets in a row. Slip stitch in the next stitch. This is where the previous slip stitch was placed. Pick up the chain from the slip stitch. To crochet. So, for the slip stitch, you'll pick up the braid to crochet. In all other stitches, work into the stitch itself. And right above the slip stitch, you'll always have a corresponding slip stitch to work into. Follow the pattern instruction to continue crocheting rows below. Once you've completed the last stitch, row 13 will be finished. The techniques used in the remaining rows have been demonstrated earlier. Refer to the pattern instruction for guidance below. Simply finish crocheting the final few rows as indicated. Finish by cutting the yarn according to how you'd cut the main fabric. Leave the yarn tails for now. That concludes the first section. Moving on to the second part of crocheting. We'll need to switch to another color here. Pick up the corresponding color. Locate where you cut the yarn in the last row. Place that end to the right, with the wrong side of the last row facing you. Work into the stitch at the edge to begin. Attach the yarn. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Make 1 single crochet into the corresponding stitch. Be sure to weave in the ends as you work. In the same stitch, make 1/2 double crochet. Next, pick up the stitches. Make double crochets and DC 2 in 1 as across. If you encounter a slip stitch, skip it. Check the pattern instruction for details. Continue crocheting until 1 stitch before the last stitch of this row on the other side. When you reach the correct position, pick up the stitches by the edge. Make 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet. Pick up the side of each row. That means working at the beginnings and ends. Start with the adjacent row. Here, the stitch at the edge is a single crochet. Insert your hook into the space. Make 1 single crochet. The following row's edge is also in single crochets. Continue to pick up the space and make 1 single crochet. Whenever the stitch on the edge is a single crochet, make 1 single crochet. Work 1 single crochet per row. If the stitch on the edge is a double crochet, make 2 single crochets for that row. For the turning chain of the double crochet, also make 2 single crochets. Continue this pattern as you go along. When you reach the starting ring, pick up the center and make 1 single crochet. Continue working according to the previous pattern. As you go, weave in the yarn tails as you crochet. Once you've worked the edge of this row, moving down to the last row. Here, you'll pick up the first single crochet, slip stitch into it. Don't pull too tight. Then, finish the border. Use the same method as before. I'll skip the details. Just tuck the yarn tails into the fabric. And that concludes the second part of the crochet tutorial. At this point, we've covered all steps for making the cloud. Following the same process, complete the required number of clouds. Next, let's move on to the star making process. Both 5-pointed and 4-pointed stars share similar techniques. For demonstration, I'll use the 5-pointed star as an example. In addition to the stitches used earlier, we'll also be using the double treble crochet, the treble crochet, and the HDC 2-in-1. Let me show you. Pick up the corresponding color. Start by making an adjustable magic ring, using the same method as for the cloud. Afterward, chain 3. Then, make 14 double crochets into the large ring. Including the turning chain. That makes a total of 15 stitches. Now, secure the round by pulling tight. Slide the completed section slightly back. Once done, insert your hook into the third chain from the beginning chain. Slip stitch through 2 loops. Give it a gentle tug to tighten. And there you have the first round complete. Move on to the second round. Begin with a chain of 2 for the beginning chain. This is the beginning chain for the half double crochet, which counts as 1 half double crochet. Then, work into the same stitch, the very spot you slip stitched into previously. Make 1 half double crochet. You can weave in the ends as you go. Including the beginning chain. This creates a special HDC 2-in-1. Proceed by picking up the next stitch. Work a regular HDC 2-in-1. So, you make 2 half double crochet in 1 stitch. That completes the HDC 2-in-1. Then, pick up each stitch separately. Work HDC 2-in-1 one by one. After completing the last stitch, insert into the second chain from the beginning chain. Pick up both strands and slip stitch. Tighten it up. And that finishes round 2. Move on to round 3. You need to make 5 points. Start with the first point. Continue from the yarn tail. Work 7 chains. Then, make 1 chain to turn. Fold it back. From the second to last chain. Pick up the top strand of the chain. Make a single crochet. Follow that with a half double crochet in the next stitch. After that, make a double crochet. Continue with treble crochet. Yarn over twice. 1, 2. Insert the hook. Yarn over, pull through. Now, there are 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. You'll have 3 loops left. Repeat, yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Now, there are 2 loops remaining. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Complete the treble crochet. Work another treble crochet into the next stitch. Yarn over twice again. Insert the hook. Yarn over and pull through. Then, yarn over again. Pass through the first 2 loops each time. Do this 3 times. Once. Twice. 3 times. Finish the treble crochet. Make 3 double treble crochets. Yarn over 3 times. Insert the hook. Yarn over and pull through. At this point, there are 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pass through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 4 times. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4 times. Complete the double treble crochet stitch. Then work another double treble crochet in the next stitch. Yarn over 3 times. Insert the hook. Yarn over and pull through. Then yarn over and pass through the first 2 loops again. Repeat this 4 times. Finish the double treble crochet. Now you've completed the chain section. This creates a point. Next, start from the stitch next to the beginning chain. Count 5 stitches to the left. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Continue with another point. In the same way. I won't go into detail here. Once done, start from the stitch next to the slip stitch. Count 5 stitches to the left. Then slip stitch into the adjacent stitch. Proceed to make 3 more points. After each point, skip 5 stitches. Work a slip stitch to transition. Follow this pattern for all points. Keep crocheting. When you finish the last point, skip 5 stitches. You'll reach the beginning chain. Slip stitch into the same spot where the previous slip stitch was worked. Insert the hook and make a slip stitch for the transition. Don't pull too tight. Leave approximately 80 centimeters of yarn before cutting. First, make a chain to secure. Gently pull the yarn through. Tighten the yarn. And there you have your finished 5-pointed star. Follow the same steps to crochet the required number of 5-pointed star. Now, let me show you how to make a 4-pointed star. It also has 3 rounds. The first round is similar to the 5-pointed star, just with a slightly different stitch count. In the second round, after the beginning chain for half double crochet, work into the next stitch to the left. For this round, crochet alternately between 1 half double crochet and 1 HDC 2-in-1. For the third round, follow the same technique as the 5-pointed star. Simply crochet 4 points this time. All the stitches have been demonstrated before. Refer to the pattern instruction and previous demonstrations. Go ahead and finish the required number of 4-pointed stars. After completing the 4-pointed star, no need to leave a long tail here. Cut the yarn as usual. Weave in the ends within the fabric. That concludes the 4-pointed star tutorial. Now, let's proceed with the attachment. First, we'll attach the cloud. I'll demonstrate using a finished piece to show the placement, with the textured side of the second part of the cloud facing up. Align the straighter side. Place it on the crocheted border of the blanket. Approximately at the third big wave from the inside out. Align the top of the cloud with the edge of the border. Extend the sides to the edges of the border. Make sure the placement of both sides is symmetrical. You can adjust the exact position according to your preference. You can use some yarn first to roughly sew a few stitches to secure the placement. Now, I'll demonstrate the securing method using a swatch. The size and number of rows in this swatch are not for reference. Take a random length of yarn. Make it a bit longer. Thread it through your yarn needle. Align the fabric according to the previous positioning. Place the fabric in position. Then, sew through a few spots randomly. Start by leaving a tail of yarn. After that, tie a knot with the beginning and ending tails to secure it. Once fixed, proceed with the sewing process. First, refer to the pattern instruction for yarn details. For the demonstration, I'll just pick a color at random. Take a length of yarn about 1 meter long. Thread it onto your needle. Then, sew along the edge of the cloud and the crochet border. Match the corresponding positions. Sew around to secure it in place. There are no specific requirements for the securing method. Just make sure the fabric stays flat. Note, when attaching the cloud, insert the needle into the back side of the fabric. Avoid going through the right side. Begin by leaving a tail of yarn. If you run out of yarn while sewing and need to join more yarn, bring the new yarn to the back side. Take about 1 meter of yarn. Close to the fabric. Tie a knot in the yarn. Leave the yarn tail for now. You've successfully joined the yarn. Continue sewing downward. Sew until you reach the starting yarn tail. Now, you've secured a full round. Next, remove the initial securing knot. Proceed with the remaining yarn. Sew a few stitches on the inside to secure it. Lastly, sew to the starting yarn tail. Tie the two yarn tails together to secure them. Tuck in any remaining yarn ends into the fabric. It's a simple technique. I won't demonstrate it here. And that concludes the cloud attachment tutorial. Using the same method, attach the remaining clouds onto the blanket's border, counting from the inside out. At the corresponding wave spot, all the clouds should be roughly aligned. It's a straightforward process. I won't repeat the demonstration. That concludes the clouds section. Next, we'll attach the stars. Use the yarn you left earlier. Refer to the finished product or place them according to your preference. In my swatch, I'm placing them randomly. Thread the reserved yarn onto a yarn needle. Follow the outline of all 5 points. Sew around the edges. Once done, bring the thread to the back. Tie a knot close to an adjacent stitch. Tuck in any remaining yarn ends into the fabric. I won't demonstrate this step again. And there you have a 5-pointed star attached. Repeat the same process. Place the other stars at their corresponding locations. Lastly, let's attach the 4-pointed stars. First, sew 2 4-pointed stars together. Then attach them to the 4 corners of the blanket's border. Take 2 4-pointed star pieces. Align them with their backs facing each other. Use a thread that matches the fabric color. For demonstration purposes, I'll use a different color. Cut a length of about 1 meter. Sew along the edges of the 4 points. Start from the top of any point. Insert your needle through any 2 threads. Do the same for the other piece, starting at the top point. Again, insert the needle through any 2 threads. Pull the thread through. Leave a short tail of yarn for security. To make it more secure, sew through the same spot again. When you encounter a stitch, go through the entire stitch. On the opposite side, where you encounter the remaining half of the chain. Match your insertion point accordingly. That's the same spot where you made the stitches on this side. Sew them together. Go ahead. For each corresponding spot on both pieces, join them with braid to sew stitch. Join them with braid to sew stitch. Join them with braid to sew stitch. Follow this method for the rest. And continue sewing. Afterward, use the remaining yarn to attach it to a corner of the blanket's crocheted border. Find the center stitch of the cloud motif. Locate the crocheted border of the blanket. Find the center chain space of the big wave. Pick up both spots simultaneously here. Sew 3 to 4 times with the 4-pointed star. When done, tie a knot with the starting yarn tail on the wrong side of the fabric. Tuck away both ends and the knot inside the fabric. And there you have a 4-pointed star attached. Do the same for the other 4-pointed stars. That concludes the decoration instructions. Up to this point, we've covered the entire process of making the blanket. If you have any questions during the process, Don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.